County's local television network, TSPN. And now back to TSPN News with Tom Slivick.
Hi everyone, and welcome back. We were talking about RCRC, and why don't you carry on with that? I found it a little interesting. We talked a little bit over the break about that as well.
Yeah, I talked about RCRC. This all started about 20 years ago when the director or president of RCRC said we need some way to finance our activities and keep the costs down for counties. So RCRC is basically the entity that has affiliates and members and affiliates. Now the members are all of the counties, but the affiliates are other cities out there that want to be in the housing program. They want to take advantage of this. So by being a member, they can access the services of the housing authority.
Okay.
By doing that, and basically this is to help people that are more on the low income side of things, so they can go out and get a loan. RCRC provides some gift money in there back to the people so that it's easier for them to get a loan. Very low percentage rates. They actually have very low defaults on their loans too, because if you structure it with a low interest rate, it is affordable for people, even if they are in that lower income segment, and they're not making a lot of money. So that's the whole goal of the program, is to help people out there. With this program, it used to be called the California Rural Home Mortgage Finance Authority, or CRMFA is what they said. That was a mouthful, so they changed it to the California Home Financing Authority, or CHF. Well, we had one of the state agencies that also does lending get involved because they said, your name is too close to our name. The CHF is too close to what the state's name was. So last I heard, when I went off as housing chairman in RCRC, we thought, our attorneys for RCRC thought we were going to be able to get by this. Apparently not, because the threats must have got to the point that they're changing their name again. So it's going to be now not the California Home Financing Authority, but the Golden State Finance Authority.
Oh, okay.
So that's the whole intent. That's a long story short. All this was coming down to just changing the name again. But I wanted to give you the history in RCRC because it is interesting that you have a governmental organization that has 34 counties in it, that has a public and a private side, and actually the 34 supervisors take off their supervisor hat and put on their housing authority hat when they go over and take care of the housing side of things. So it's similar to our Board of Supervisors becoming the Board of Equalization, or becoming the Amateur Fire Protection District. We're the same Board of Directors, but we have different duties.
Okay.
So that's long story short, Tom. That's what it is. Just a couple things though that they do.
Well, what action were you going to?
That's it. Just to change the name.
Oh, okay. And so it's changing to Golden State.
Yeah, because it is a joint powers authority.
All right.
So the whole goal here is just to change the name, and hopefully this will be the last time they have to change their name. Not a big deal, but the authority actually has the power to finance the construction, acquisition, improvement, and rehabilitation of real property.
Okay.
Including the power and purchase. There's just a lot of things they can do. But I can tell you, this is not a small thing that they do, because they have millions and millions of dollars in finance money running through the organization. That generates residuals. Those residuals come back to fund the operations of the organization.
Very interesting.
Really, I don't know if I would have the brain power to think that up, but somebody had a great idea a long time ago, and it sure helps out counties at this point. The last couple of items on our agenda have to do with the refinancing of the County Administration Center. And on the agenda, it's called Refunding the 2005 Certificates of Participation. And the board will have to pass a resolution to do this, but there's quite a few actions required. This is part of the packet that the board has to review. But the whole thing revolves around the board going out for new financing, and this started at the first of the year. January 7th is when the board picked Brandis Tallman, that they would be awarded as the agent or the underwriter for this activity. Now, the next question was, do you want to keep this in the public market, or do you want to go out to the private market, to banks, regular banks out there? So at the March 2nd board meeting, the board decided that they would go out for private financing on this, and part of the reason was this came out of the administrative committee too as a recommendation, was once you get into the public side, sometimes the responsibilities, the paperwork goes way up, and the administrative committee was worried about the time that it would take to get this done, and we wouldn't be in line to get the smaller interest rates. So on March 10th, the board discussed the refinancing and gave direction to our staff to go out and lock in a rate, because rates were very good at that time. We had, I think, 5 banks identified. It came down to 2 banks in the end. One of those was Capital One, the other was Umpqua Bank. The board gave direction that if it looked like the rates were going to jump, we needed to lock that in, just like you were doing your own personal financing.
That's basically, you're doing like a refi where a lot of people have done a refi to their home.
That's right.
Okay.
But there was some indication that by April 30th, the rates may jump. So we were looking at locking in a 2.69% rate. It could have been 2.25% if we had gone with a depository relationship. What that means is we would have had to put money in their bank that they would hold to guarantee that and take the rate down another about a half point. We didn't think it was worth the money to do that. We had Mike Ryan, our treasurer tax collector, come in and say we can actually generate more money by investing with other means. So I think LAIF was the method that he said we could generate more income.
All right.
The March 24th board meeting, then we gave that direction. We said to lock it in at 2.84 if by April 7th, if it looked like it was not going to be economical down the road. So on April 7th, Umpqua Bank locked the rate at 2.65%, so they will be the lender.
Okay, so that was a better rate than you were thinking of. You were thinking you were going to get maybe a 2.9, or now it's 2.6?
Right, 2.84, and now we're going to get down to 2.65. You know, it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're talking about these kind of funds, I think the original estimate was about $30,000 a year that we would save our county residents in money.
Time for possible employee cuts or anything like that. That's $30,000 is a lot of money.
Well, and it's probably going to be more than $30,000 now that they've locked it in at a slightly lesser rate. But you know, this is for when we have taxpayers and our constituents out there. We're trying to do the best thing for them, and you know, sometimes we make a mistake, sometimes we do it right. Hopefully we're doing it right this time. I think anytime you can lock in a rate at 2.65%, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So just to let you know, though, there are a lot of documents that need to be looked at and approved here. It's like anytime you do a loan agreement, the documents involved here are the county board resolution, the authority board resolution, and that's the second part of our agenda. We have a public hearing at 10:30 to discuss the same item. It's titled the same, but we have to convene as the Amador County Public Facilities Financing Authority. So you have to do that because you need a separate identity when you're doing financing like this. But we have the authority board resolution, letter agreements for purchase and rate locks, site and facility lease documents, lease agreements, assignment agreements, escrow agreements, termination agreements, and finally a final opinion of special counsel. So the new loan rate amount is $6.168 million. The lock is going to be 2.65%. The fiscal year savings are $49,105. So total savings in the life of the loan are going to be $538,155. That's a pretty penny, if you ask me. So net present value savings are $464,000 and change, or 7.66%. So this is a pretty good deal for the
Sometimes when you
county
get
residents.
so many numbers, you forget some of them. How long was this transaction going to be taking place? Not you completing it, but how long is the loan for?
I think this is a 30-year loan that
Okay.
we're talking about. So you're talking about a really good deal for the ratepayers of the county. County's not going to go anyplace, so there's little chance that county's going to default on something like this. But the advantage here, usually the lenders, especially in the private side, will require a lot more documents. But they're all hungry out there right now. They're really not losing a whole bunch of money, even if there is a default at 2.65%. But the $6 million loan is pretty substantial, but the lenders are hungry. They're more willing to come up, and they're all competing for the business to get that $6 million loan.
Okay. So, is there any open discussion on this?
Oh, sure.
While this is happening?
Both these items.
Have you got some discussion? What have some people brought up?
Well, no one from the public has
Okay.
spoken about this yet.
Okay.
Really, who would not think that getting a 2.65% on $6 million is a pretty good deal?
Okay.
So I don't expect anyone to oppose this, but we always take public comment on this.
All right, and with that, I'm going to say that if you'd like to listen to this, you can go to the county's website if you don't make it down to the county, and the audio comes over on their website. It's real nice to listen to that. So while you're doing something, just turn that on and follow what's happening at your county government. Richard, thanks for coming by. It's good to see you. And Richard will be back on Wednesday on AM Live and tell us what happened at the Board of Supervisors meeting. So stay with us right here on TSPN. There's more coming up.
You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.